We predicted this question a few weeks ago. What is your weirdest slash funniest Halloween tradition?
Okay, so this is a tradition that I started probably about 10 years ago. So a pretty
Okay.
new tradition. And that is to make sure that the porch light is shut off and the door is locked. Because I don't give a crap anymore.
Oh, for Halloween. I don't know. It's kind of picture you just going full old man mode. Like, yeah, every night before you go to bed, of course, that's what you do.
Yeah, no, I eased into it where we took the kids out trick or treating when they were young, blah blah blah. They got older, and then I put out a bucket of candy. And if it was gone by, if trick or treating started at 6 o'clock and it was gone by 6:15, I'd be completely fine with it because I don't care. Um, Candy was going to be gone anyway, so. And then I just stopped putting out the bucket and just said, "Leave me alone, get off my lawn." I just don't care. And honestly, on my street, hardly anybody comes by anyway because it's way too busy.
Ours isn't
So,
busy. It's just light. It's very light.
which is
There's a
weird
number
because
of
you live in a
kids.
neighborhood.
Yeah, it's just not a lot of kids. And honestly, it's almost that old adage of we're gonna go to the big house neighborhood to get the good candy.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have some people come by. I think my kids go around every once in a while and do it. I was never that guy ever. As a kid growing up, of course, I wanted to be. So my buddy Hugh, as you know, he was here this past week, and We went to the Grave Face Museum in Savannah, which is basically a oddities and serial killer kind of museum with
Hmm.
pinball.
Okay.
Uh, Now, and the pinball happens to be all horror themed pinball, like Adam's Family and
Haunted
Dracula and all that
house,
stuff. Yeah, I think it had haunted house. I think so. Yeah.
classic pinball
Uh,
machine right there.
yeah, some of these were very original. Um, but crap, I forget where I was going with. Oh, the Halloween tradition. Oh, so we're
Grave
going through.
face. Yeah.
Yeah. We went through one of the rooms, and it had Halloween costumes. I guess like kind of a history of it or whatever. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you remember that?" And he pointed to this one that was obviously from the '70s, and vinyl and original. And he's like, "You remember those? They come in the box. You go to whatever he said, like J.C. Penney's or something, and get it in the box, and it come out in the vinyl. And you put it." I was like, I didn't say anything. Like, and we moved on. It's like, Hugh, you've met me. No, no, I didn't know that because my parents didn't let me trick or treat. There was never going to be a costume, not even a Christian one. So I didn't
Ah,
want to
okay.
burst your bubble while we're in there, but no, butt face. And that was the thing. I'm so scarred about Halloween. I grew up in the '80s, so the
Right.
whole white van kidnapping thing that I honestly don't know the truth of because I know it never happened around my area.
Right.
Then the whole razor blades and the candy scare and the needles and the candy scare and the X-ray or candy scare. Yeah, I grew up, so it was just never gonna be a thing. But my parents always found a church one to go to. It was a
Yep.
fall festival, which somehow made it different. It was
Yep.
on a Wednesday night, no matter what, unless of course Wednesday night was Halloween. Then it might not be on a Wednesday night.
Right.
Uh, and it was the worst candy. It was the worst time. I mean, some of the games, some of the churches we went to were pretty big. It was kind of cool, but it was just the worst. And I honestly have a major issue with that. It's like if you're going to condemn something, don't steal it and whitewash it and make it worse than it was to start with.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little older than you, but I mean, we had heard about the razor blade thing and all of
I
that.
don't think that ever really happened, to be
I
truthful.
I don't think so either. Like I don't remember
Right.
even reading an account of it actually happening somewhere. There was always a fear mongering news story that said, "Make sure you
Exactly.
scan your stuff," and it was always the razor blade and the apple thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like going, well, one, if anybody's giving out apples, they need to go away. Two, I never got apples trick or treating because we never, if we identified a house where they were giving out apples or oranges, nobody would go there. Like we would know. and just like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So, yeah, the whole thing is a little crazy. There was always the street, the house on the street where they would give away like baked cookies, or they would have some homemade thing, which were fine. They were fine. There wasn't any like laced with cyanide or or anything else. Like nothing nefarious. Nobody roofied my oatmeal raisin. But yeah, I mean, yeah. But I also I don't remember going trick or treating with my parents. No, I do once. When my brother had broken his leg. I had to go with an extra sack to get candy for him as well.
Yes.
And I think it happened. It was the worst Halloween ever. I think it happened to be the time where one of the things that happened when I was in school is they would do UNICEF as well. Yep. And so we'd have these stupid little orange boxes where we were supposed to collect change while we were trick-or-treating. Yeah. And I was like, oh, come on. Now I have a job while I'm trying to get candy. Right. Leave me alone.
I mean, I'm 30. I work for a living. Leave me alone.
Right. Right. So, yeah. But yeah, otherwise, I went out a lot of times without my parents at all. Like, it was just we were wandering the streets for a couple hours or so and then come home.
Yeah. I mean, kids, I think, did that in my neighborhood too. Now, here's the thing, though, with the trick-or-treating, my parents would never stay home. My mom would put a bucket out front with a note and we'd leave. If for some reason we couldn't leave or something, I don't remember exactly why we stayed home, but she'd make sure to turn the light off and not put a ball out there. So I grew up going, man. And then, of course, by the time I'm old enough to make my own decisions, you don't go trick-or-treating as a young adult and an adult and all that. And
it gets weird around 13, 14 years old. You're like going, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I like to flip it. Like, if I am, I do mean, I'm not like in person, but I like to be mean to the little kids. Like I said, glue the big candy bar to the bowl and all that. But if I see some like teenagers walking around, like, hey, here you go, dudes, have at it. Here's some candy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
one of my favorite things was the dude who would dress as a scarecrow and set himself up on the porch holding the pot of candy, but wouldn't move. And then kids would come up to get some candy out of the bowl, thinking it's just a decoration, and then he'd grab them.
Yeah,
freaking hilarious with the little kids screaming.
I mean, I get it, but also it just seems really mean at the same time. But so when my kids came up, I was also with them about the stories and whatnot, and so we make everything like a marathon, and Aaron has hit probably 10 different festivals over the last 2 weeks, be it community festivals, city festivals, churches, whatever, usually 2 or 3 in one night, here or there. And so we've racked up a decent amount of candy. And then there's a really good chance tomorrow we'll go roll by the things. And so when they got old enough, for a while when they were young, I was like, no, they're not going there. And finally they got to be a safe enough age, like between 9 and 11, where they could still go do it. And their uncle would take them and this and that and the other. So I let them do that. And then they basically did it once. They don't care. Now my oldest ones are trying to find like Halloween parties. Like, hey, doofuses, you're underage. You're not going to find the parties you're trying to look for.
Right.
Because I sheltered you from high school so you don't know the morons that have that. And when you're old enough, you'll get in a safer place. So give it a few more years.